Open the gates and let loose the legions of Gehenna, because Demonschool is now in session. Necrosoft's eagerly awaited tactics RPG hit a diabolic delay on its way to us, initially stated for the same week in September as Hollow Knight Silksong, pushing its release into mid-November. But now it's here, and citing a lot of my favorite horror media as influences, I couldn't not check this one out. Just look at these pixels and polygons. Hot stuff. Publisher Ysbryd Games were kind enough to provide me with a review code, so I've spent the last week and change embroiled in Demonschool's devilish battle system, and I've been having a hell of a time. It's back to school season 1999, so teen demon hunter Faye and her rippling abs are en route to Hemsk Island to begin her freshman year at university. On the ferry, she meets meek photography major Namako, and, believing her to also descend from a demon hunting family, imposes on her her mission to expose the faculty's wicked aims and stop the apocalypse. Initially hesitant, Namako and Faye become fast friends, and the pair form the extracurricular Black Magic Club, which quickly attracts other misfit students. From here, the plot unfolds weekly over the fall term. Each Monday, the enigmatic Professor Vincent tasks the Black Magic Club with hunting down a different arcane MacGuffin, a cursed videotape a la The Ring, a paintbrush made from demon hair, among others, and to neutralize it by Friday. Days are split into thirds, morning, evening, and night, during which Faye and her companions can pursue side activities in between progressing the story. As time passes, the bright mornings give way to the cold colors of twilight, as Kurt Feldman's spectral synth soundtrack dynamically shifts instruments as the days wear on. The progression of each day is just a framing device. While side quests do expire if not pursued, time management is not the player's concern. You need not choose one quest or activity over another. You can spend, say, a single Wednesday afternoon petting dogs, singing karaoke, smooching girls, and punching demons in a haunted toilet. Which is probably a pretty good time to talk about combat. Demonschool is a small numbers tactical RPG in which you're tasked with defeating a quota of enemies within a certain number of turns. And when I say small numbers, I mean small numbers. Each ally has a maximum of 3 hit points, and it's rare to encounter an enemy with more than that either. Each character has a role to play. Faye is an attacker, while Namako is capable of phasing through enemies, unable to deal damage directly, but inflicting debuffs on them instead. Other characters like Newt, Pangshe, or Ocean run support, restoring hit points or bestowing buffs onto allies. Some characters are a hybrid of multiple roles, able to both attack and debuff at the cost of agility or stamina. Each character also has a unique special ability, which functions like a limit break. Some of these allow even non-damage dealers to inflict heavy AoE attacks. At the start of each turn, you're given 8 action points to assign to whichever character you please, but successive actions with a single character come with the cost of 1 additional AP per turn. Characters will always move the maximum amount of distance possible, only stopping when they collide with an enemy, ally, or object. This is mitigated with Sidestep, the invaluable ability to step 1 square to the left or right for no extra AP to line up your actions just right. You're not acting in real time, though. The player phase is a preview where you input your commands before calling action to set things into motion. You can tweak your turn as much as you please, but once you take action, the next turn begins and there's no going back. Once you've met your demon quota, you need to move an ally to the uppermost row on the battlefield, at which point they'll perform a sealing ceremony to send your opponents back to hell. You're allowed quite a bit of creativity on how to achieve this. If one of your characters is in position, you can seal if enemies die from status effects or via friendly fire during their phase of the turn. Once battle's over, you're graded on a scale from A to C. You get an A if you've met par on the number of turns and no allies have fallen in combat, B if you've hit one of these snags, and C if you've stumbled at both hurdles. An A comes with 3 class credits, decreasing to a minimum of 1 for a C. The results screen offers the opportunity to retry the battle if you're unhappy with your performance. Your party don't gain levels or build stats, instead turning in class credits to study skills obtained throughout the game. These can modify your characters in different ways, like granting additional hit points, shoring up elemental weaknesses, or expanding a support role's buff or debuff abilities. Each skill can only be equipped by a single character at a time, and certain skills can only be equipped by certain characters. However, skills can be swapped out at any time, making for a highly tactile party. Honestly, combat kind of reminds me of a mix of billiards and mini-golf, and once you get the hang of it, there's a lot of fun to be had. Each battle is a little handcrafted brain teaser, and the game is generous enough with its class credits to not penalize you for scoring an A for every single fight. It's also notable that Demonschool includes a range of accessibility options, not just limited to audio and visuals. There's an invincibility mode available right out of the gate, and failing in combat, either by all allies falling, or a demon breaking through the bottom row of the screen, a reverse ceiling, if you will, offers the opportunity to skip the encounter entirely at the cost of 0 class credits. I didn't use either of these options, but it's nice that they're there for anybody who wants them. By the time Friday rolls around, Faye and Co. have found the MacGuffin of the week, which puts them into conflict with the monster of the week. Boss battles are where Demonschool's creature design shines, pulling from the best of horror OVAs to pit you against gargantuan towers of possessed computer monitors, overgrown skeletons with exposed brains, and whatever this thing is. Bosses switch up the rules of engagement. While they can't be debuffed, support characters gain the ability to inflict damage directly. On the whole, these tend to be less challenging than some of the regular battles, but they're excellent visual set pieces that rarely disappoint. With the boss vanquished and artifact obtained, Faye and her friends are offered some downtime on the weekend, which in effect isn't particularly different than any of the other days of the week, but nicely bridges one chapter to the next. And with each Monday, we're heralded with a stark reminder of how many weeks are left until the end of the world. And what's a social RPG without side activities? Demonschool is loaded with things to do, like the aforementioned karaoke, fishing, cooking, beetle racing, and a suite of smaller mini-games like rock, paper, scissors, or guessing a character's mood via their silhouette. Most of these activities are undertaken with an ally of your choice and raise your affinity upon successful completion, eventually unlocking their next side event. Most of these you can only complete once per time period, but failure allows you to try again immediately, because Demonschool knows you're probably just going to save scum anyway.
Don't worry, you can cast lures until the cowfish come home.
One of my favorite activities is taking sci-fi nerd Newt to rent a different genre tape every weekend. All real films, by the way, which he then succinctly reviews in Namako's weekly newsletter. As much as I want to see what Newt thinks of Tetsuo, I've got to pick Ken Russell's incredibly sexy Lair of the White Worm. Now, I didn't love all of these activities. I really don't want to play rock, paper, scissors at the best of times, unless there's threat of Alex Kidd getting naked at the end. The reward of getting to better know my teammates unfortunately wasn't all that enticing either. Demonschool's cast are cartoon archetypes, and each can be sorted into some sort of variation on himbo, nerd, snob, or the kooky one. That's not to say that they're unlikable. Long-suffering Namako is always a pleasure, and Aina, my beloved. But even the most likable characters have simple motivations and rarely undergo meaningful arcs. By the end of the game, Faye gains a whopping 15 companions, some of whom come along seemingly arbitrarily. With minimal time in the spotlight, I didn't feel that strongly about spending downtime with too many of them. The other problem is these characters, most of whom have unique functions in combat, tend to get dumped on you without any guidance on how to effectively use them. On the one hand, I appreciate Demonschool's faith in the player to experiment, but a big dum-dum like me would have benefited from a little bit of tutorializing on each new recruit. What am I doing with this punk rocker dumping desks onto the field willy-nilly? I don't know, man. From Demonschool's infernal curricular setting to its 2D sprites on polygonal isometric backgrounds, Persona 1 and 2 have been the obvious comparators on everybody's lips. And look, I'm a Persona 1 and 2 sicko, but that's not the most accurate description. The mix of social adventure game and tactical combat actually reminds me quite a bit of the works of Shuho Imai, particularly Tokyo Majin High School and Tokyo Twilight Ghost Hunters. Now, I know that Brandon Sheffield and the folks at Necrosoft are certified real ones, so I'd be surprised if these games weren't influences too. And that is most definitely a compliment. As for the writing itself, it's whimsical. Demonschool is far more lighthearted and silly than I'd expected, with quips and non sequiturs galore. Necrosoft cited Dario Argento and Suehiro Maruo in their list of inspirations, and when you drop names like those, you set some expectations. But I can't say I saw the influence of either of them shine through here. Underneath the blood and guts, Demonschool's a Saturday morning cartoon, and I would have liked to have seen it take itself a little bit more seriously. I rolled credits around the 50-hour mark, and I didn't even undertake every single side quest. There's a beefy game here, though I wouldn't have minded if a little bit of fat got trimmed. There's a few mid-game chapters that pile on one battle after another that really dragged for me, and it's around here that I started hitting the I get it button a little bit more frequently, satisfied with poor grades in an effort to move things along. Damn, flashback to my own experiences in higher education. I played primarily on Steam Deck, switching to PC on occasion to capture footage. Throughout my entire time with Demonschool, I experienced a single crash on launch day, which didn't set me back too far. I understand performance may have been a little ropey on Switch at launch, though I've noticed Necrosoft have been fast to patch issues on all platforms. Plot flagging also gets a little wonky sometimes. During my playthrough, Faye and another character spent an affinity event discussing their thoughts on a third character named Hank. I thought maybe I disassociated and missed who Hank was, but lo, the party was introduced to Hank, the aforementioned desk-dropping punk rocker, for the first time 2 chapters later. It's a little messy, and it would be nice if it got fixed, but ultimately it didn't spoil any important revelations. On the whole, I really enjoyed my time in the Black Magic Club. Demonschool may not be the Persona 1 successor that you're aching for, but it's also not trying to be. Fans of chunky polygons, OVA aesthetics, and brain-teasing tactics games like Into the Breach will find a lot to love in Demonschool. Demonschool's available now on just about any platform you'd prefer. Hey, did you know that we now have channel memberships? For 99 cents, or your local equivalent, you can help me keep the lights on and gain access to an exclusive loyalty badge, emotes, priority reply to comments, and a peek behind the scenes on what I'm working on. You also get shoutouts, so cheers to VCal13 and ChiliJ542. Thank you so much for your support. I have also got a Ko-fi, which you can find in the description, if you'd prefer to make a one-off tip. Shout out to Reese Ryder, thank you so much for your support. I'll be back with something weird before the year is out. Stay demonic out there, folks.